I had the pleasure of speaking to your director slash co-star the other day, which was lovely. A bit of a personal pleasure for me, given I'm such a huge fan of him as He-Man from when I was a kid. So
aren't we all? Aren't we all? Although there's better films than He-Man, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, it's because I was obsessed with He-Man when I was a kid, so it has a special place in my film lexicon, shall we say? But yeah, he's done some he's done some bad things since then, including this one, which I really enjoyed, Castle Falls. Really enjoyed Castle Falls. I think I spoke to you last year, and I think this was the one or one of the ones. Obviously, talking to Dolph, he's obviously confirmed this, that COVID obviously played a part in this one getting off the ground, and you filming it and everything else. So it must have been very, very happy time when you managed to be able to do it, given the issues that everyone's had over the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, it was all kicking off while I was over there in Alabama, and we did half a day shooting, and then the plug got pulled, and back home we went. And so by the time we came back to shoot it, we'd lost a substantial amount of the budget, to be honest, with the new COVID restrictions. And it wasn't an easy shoot. We got shut down a few times because of, a false negative COVID thing. And then the one time there was a positive, and she was fine, so thankful for that. But and then we got shut down for other reasons. It wasn't an easy shoot, but we did our best, and we're happy with the film that came out of it. But it wasn't easy.
Yeah, and Dolph was talking about the fact that the nature of the film, in terms of not many locations, there's a certain amount of cast in this one, not to give anything away, but obviously there's ways and means for you guys to have done it. So yeah,
well, luckily the fact that it was one location with not a lot of cast members did help ultimately, because if it was a different type of movie, we would have just had to have scrapped it completely.
Yeah, that's good that you managed to do it. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed this one. It has a bit of a throwback element to a lot of other films that people have seen. I've noticed online, reading reviews and people saying kind of throwbacks. There's bits of a sort of Precinct 13. There's lots of other little bits and bobs in there. So what was your initial reaction when you read the script for the first time, and what drew you to not just the story but Mike as a character?
I just really enjoyed the script. It was well written, and obviously it was a bit of a take on, maybe the Die Hard thing, but the whole, I did feel it was more like Trespass, that sort of film. It reminded me of that. And I just like the idea of working with Dolph as a director. I mean, obviously we all know he's a very smart guy. He's very clued up. He's made a lot of films, and he's directed some good films in the past. And the way he spoke about how he was going to approach the characters in a very realistic way, and they're going to have real motivations, and it wasn't just an action film for the sake of action. Everything was happening for real emotional, grounded reasons, and that's what attracted me to it, really. And yeah, it was a great experience working with Dolph as a director, and we've worked together as actors in the past, and we've always got on well personally. I think he's a great guy. But working with him as a director was a really great experience. I think we went in depth on the character more than I have with any other director I've worked with in the past, to be honest. We had long conversations. Probably COVID helped. We get on the phone and we talk about it for a long time. But yeah, very in depth on who the character was and the backstory and what his motivations were. So it was a rewarding experience. And yeah, I like his directing style, because he's very much about the realism, and you don't get that sometimes with action films. And that's what I'm more interested in a way, is character-based action movies.
Yeah, and I did speak to him about the kind of realism of it, because it's great to see in a world where there's so many kind of fantastical CGI-based movies, that when you see these kind of action films, particularly with people like yourselves and Dolph, who are from quote-unquote old school, who like to see the realism of the characters and the action, it must be very satisfying to go to work, to be able to do all the stuff that that you can do, rather than doing green screens and all that kind of stuff. Because
I don't do all the green screens anyway, do I?
Yeah.
All right, I did Doctor
Strange.
Once,
didn't you? Yeah, you did it once.
Doctor Strange, and that was a holiday. God, they've got it easy. Padded sets and all the rest of it. No, I'm used to smashing myself off hard concrete with minimal pads, so that you can see it's me. Hi. But yeah, no, look, he comes up from the golden era of action movies where you needed real action guys to be able to do it. You couldn't hide the stuntmen as well, and he couldn't do all the CG and the face replacement and the green screen. And he still likes to do it that way. I like to do it that way as well. I like to watch action films where, I mean, I love the comic book movies, don't get me wrong, but I do enjoy to see it when you're watching the guys that you know that they're doing it as well, because it just feels more, you buy into it more, I think.
Yeah, I think with this one, obviously the first scene is you doing the kind of fighting with I think it's an MMA fighter or something. Dolph was telling me, and that you did lots of kind of, he could shoot you for 30 seconds or a minute or whatever, and it would be you guys kind of sparring with each other, and it adds that authenticity not just to the action stuff, but to the character as well, because you feel where he is and what he's trying to do, and kind of you can feel the energy that the character is going through in the movie.
You can tell when somebody's putting their heart into action sequences, and I'm not just talking about guys like me. I mean there are some actors that really go for it, and you can tell, like Keanu Reeves and Chris Hemsworth, Charlize Theron. It's not easy, but you can tell when they're faking it, and we're not faking it.
No, definitely not. Quite bruising. Tell me about working with Dolph as an actor and also as a director, because you just talked about how much you guys would talk. Is there a difference? Does he talk to you because he's an actor? Is it easier to kind of get across your concerns and your ideas than it would be if you were talking with somebody who wasn't both of those things, or do you not find any distinction between the two?
Listen, we're not working on a schedule where he can throw different ideas at me, and I've got 10 to 15 takes to try and get it right. And we have to move quick, and we've got to move fast, and you get 2 takes if you're lucky for each setup. But it was all ahead of time before we started shooting where the hard work was done, and the conversations about who the character is and what his motivations are, and a very clear picture of what that money would mean to him if he got it, and the stakes that were at play if he didn't, because he's a fighter that's dedicated his life to becoming, for the pursuit of becoming a world champion. He's been very selfish in that pursuit. I think you've got to be a fighter. It's all about me. I've got to get up, got to do my training, got to do this. The family stuff can come later. I have to train for this fight. And he's continually done that. And he's got to a point in his life where he realizes, I'm not going to make it. The dream's not going to happen for me. And now what have I got? I've got a broken down body. I've got no money in the bank, and I haven't got a job. And that's where we meet the character at that point. So that when he does have this chance to take this money, the reasons are very real. And then he has a decision to make. Is he going to be selfish again, or is he going to try and do something? Maybe he's learned something from the past. And these were the things we spoke about.
Yeah, because there's like that great scene with you, like you just mentioned it there, where he's trying to get back on the roster to do the fighting and all that kind of stuff, and the realization. It's quite a heartbreaking scene in many regards, because his dream is kind of falling away, and you can kind of understand why he then takes the path that he does. It must be great to do those kind of scenes as well, even though you're doing the action stuff, to do the scenes that do have a real kind of emotion to them.
That's it. Look, it's got a lot of action in it, but it's a character study first and foremost. And that's what Dolph wanted to do. And that's what attracted me to it. And, we put as much heart and effort into the acting as we do the action. We want it all to be good. The trick is to do it on a tight schedule. But yeah.
So in terms of you as a performer now, obviously you've done a lot of films now. You've done quite a lot in the last few years. Have you enjoyed the trajectory in terms of being able to do the action stuff, but also do all these other little bits in between? Has it got to the point now where you actually, you can sit back and go, wow, I've done this is more than I ever could have hoped to have done?
Had a little moment the other day on the set of Accident Man 2 in Malta when somebody came up to me and said, this is going to sound really vain, but she said, Scott, I just want to tell you that you are a brilliant martial artist. I said, oh, thanks. And I sat there for a second, and I was on my own. And then I suddenly thought, man, I just remembered being a kid and having this dream and wanting it so badly. And in that moment, it all came back to me that, oh, wow, I've actually done it. And I've been doing it for 20 years and I made a life out of it. And people appreciate that I do this. And it suddenly all just hit me. I mean, it has done before, but that was just a recent example that it's like, wow, yeah, this is what I do for a living.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there who only recently have discovered, I found this on some interviews and stuff like that, that you actually technically have played a version of Deadpool as well, which I don't think a lot of people realize. Because
I was part of the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't know. I knew that you. So I knew that you doubled Ryan Reynolds on Deadpool, but I didn't realize. I don't know how.
Ryan wasn't even there.
That
I'm in 2 movies with Ryan. I've never met him. Criminal as well, but he wasn't there on Wolverine. He had no idea what they were up to with all this silly rays out the eyes, swords coming out, no mouth. He didn't have a clue. He wasn't there. He must have been pretty surprised when he turned up for the reshoots and well, not the reshoots, but the added stuff of his close-ups, seeing what we got up to. He must have been livid.
I think he's mentioned it a couple of times now that he's actually got to do Deadpool.
Well, he goes back in time in Deadpool 2, doesn't he, or whatever it is, to kill my version of the character. And I was like, I wish he'd let me play that part. That bit of Deadpool 2. I would have gladly took a bullet to the head. I'm sorry. I just did as I was told. I was just trying to make a buck.
Yeah, just follow the orders, as they say. In terms of, obviously, you said you got Accident Man 2 coming up, but I know that you've done John Wick, which I think is finished now, and you got to work with, I'm assuming you got to work with Keanu, who you mentioned at the top of the interview. What was that experience like? Because it's a big franchise, but it's still kind of in keeping with the stuff that you like to do and Dolph likes to do in the action genre. I know that it's very realistic in the story that it's telling.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as far as John Wick goes, I think it's the best sort of big budget action film that you could be in, action franchise. The best. What's better? There's nothing better. There's nothing better than John Wick, action-wise, in my opinion, from America, from Hollywood. So, yes, to be in that and to be invited by Chad and to work with Keanu was fantastic. And he lives up to all the praise that you hear about him. He's super nice, chilled, generous guy. I mean, he's just amazing.
He's very, very much like that as well. Every time I hear him in interviews, he's very much like, it's about, he wants to be able to do as much as he possibly can, but I guess it's because he's Keanu Reeves at some point.
Works hard.
No, you can't do this one, but you can do all the rest.
No, he works hard, man. You know, he comes onto set aching and limping, and you know, you can feel the guy's pain, but he just keeps going and going and going. And Chad, the director, you know, he's not easy on him. He knows what he's capable of, and he will push him. And I never heard Keanu complain once. He just, if it needs to be done again, he does it.
Yeah, I can't imagine him being anything but that. Also, as you say, every time I see him, he's such a super nice person. I've never met him. I've met him once, I think, but all interviews and stuff. He's quite a humble, like he loves his craft and all that kind of stuff, which is always nice to.
Yeah, I think that's what works well for the John Wick character, because he is such a likable person anyway, a likable personality, that when you put him in the shoes of the Baba Yaga, you can't help but root for him. But he's a badass assassin who's killed many people, but he's so likable. Is there anyone
out there, any filmmakers or people doing what you do that you still have an aspiration to work with? I only asked that because I watched Guy Ritchie's new film with Jason Statham the other day, Wrath of Man, and it's actually, I was surprised as to what it was and everything else. Are they people along the lines that you'd like to do it? Obviously, I know you've done Expendables along the way and stuff like that, but is there any other filmmakers that you think if you got the chance to do it, you jump on it?
Oh God, yeah, many filmmakers, of course. Yeah, Guy Ritchie. I'd love to work with Guy Ritchie, of course. You know, to take your pick, all the greats. You know, Ridley Scott and just anyone really. You know, Spielberg. We could go on. Scorsese. We could list them all. Of course, I would love to work with all of them, and some great actors that I admire. You know, Denzel Washington, Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, loads of people.
If there was ever a way to get, even though he's a bit older, Anthony Hopkins younger, you two in a sparring match, I think everyone would go and watch that. That would be
spin kick Tony Hopkins in the face while quoting Shakespeare at him. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Sold. Hey, there's crazier things in this world that happened on Instagram and TikTok. Why can't we get you fighting Anthony Hopkins? And just finally, with Castle Falls, obviously it's coming out soon. What are you hoping people? It sounds like such a silly question because it's, you know, but in terms of the movies, so are you hoping that people watch it in the cinema if they get a chance to, or are you happy for them to just watch it wherever they can, given the nature of how these films sometimes are distributed?
No, I'm just I'm not expecting people to go to the cinema to watch it, really. I mean, it's difficult enough to get to the cinema to watch a big film these days, isn't it? It's quite an undertaking, and it's not going to be easy competing with Spider-Man No Way Home, is it? So I just want if people like the old school action type of flicks and something that's character driven and with realistic action done by real action guys, then they should check it out. And if you want to watch a CGI blockbuster, you should go and watch Spider-Man No Way Home, and I will be too.
I'm seeing it tonight. I'm super excited. But I really did enjoy Castle Falls, and thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate your time, and good chatting to you.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
Thanks, man. Have a good one. Cheers.
See you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!